So last week, either last week or the week before, we did the Christmas gift guide. We split it into two parts, and on there I spoke about Barista Hustle. One of my recommendations was Barista Hustle, their website and their subscription for their education stuff they do online. And I said, well, actually, let's not just say me. Let's say one of us.
Nick.
One of us said what a crappy website it was, but it was really amazing material, but what a crappy website. And so I got an email from
Barista
the very
Hustlers.
nice people at Barista Hustle. They said, "Good day, Nick," because they're from Australia.
All right.
And they probably, I don't know, they didn't say that at all. They were very polite. They said, thanks very much. You're really great that you recommended us. But about your comments on our website, and they actually sort of said, look, mate, we've worked really, really hard on this site. What's wrong with it? And I sort of thought back and I thought, you know what? Now I think about it. It did go through some pretty huge improvements. I went back and looked like, oh yeah, actually it's really good now. It's absolutely fine. So I have to, on behalf of Max and myself, I have to make an apology to Barista Hustle. Your website's fine, pal. Hey, right. So Max.
So it worked.
Max. It's going to be a great day because you know why? We've got a giveaway. We never had a giveaway before.
We have a giveaway.
We've got a giveaway. Let me tell you. So basically, one lucky winner, and we're going to pick somebody by the end of the month. One lucky winner is going to be able to come around to your house and pick anything from your kitchen that he likes. So I've just put the address. I published the address out the website. And the fun thing is, right, is you never know when. So basically, they can turn up anytime, day or night, in middle of the night. Just knock on your door, and come in, and I'll just say, "I'll have that, please, Max."
Good. That's good. Yes.
Honestly, Max, it'll be worth it because no one's ever done anything like that before. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Let's do it with your kitchen though, just because I think it works better for the feng shui.
My kitchen's such a mess; they wouldn't be able to find anything.
Exactly.
Actually, no, we are giving something away though. We're giving away an Nespresso.
Yeah. After droning about good coffee all the time, we're gonna give away an espresso.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I almost gave one to my sister because she basically described exactly what she wanted. She said, and it was an espresso machine, except for that she said, well, I don't want it in plastic. So I'm pretty sure they don't make a solid glass one or something. So, no. A chrome plated, Nespresso machine. So I couldn't give it that. But this is actually a great, we're going to talk about today. Actually, we're going to talk about our experiences with it.
Yeah, actually, I have a lot to say. And I also have props. That you will then proceed to describe as I go.
Yeah, green. He's got a bowl full of green capsules.
Oh yes, and I have the machine here next to me. It's just not sitting on the desk because it's a bit bulky. But I will go over all of that.
So let's talk about what the giveaway is and what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about the new Nespresso machines, the ones using the Vertuo capsules as opposed to the original capsules. And we're going to talk about the coffee. We're going to talk about a little bit about the environmental impact, whether you should be worried about having capsules and the environmental impact of making single serving coffees. And we're going to talk about the build quality of the machines. And that's pretty much it. So then in order to enter the giveaway, there's actually nothing you need to do. You don't need to buy anything. There's no catch. There's no catch that I've thought of yet that I can get away with. It is literally just going to be a case that you can sign up on the site. So we'll have a link in the show notes, and we'll also have a link in the YouTube notes as well if you're watching us on YouTube. And just go to the page, and you can just put your email. We need your email in order to be able to notify you, obviously. Yeah. But we won't use it for anything else. And then you can earn extra points by sort of sharing it or watching the podcast. You get extra entry tickets, as it were. So you get to increase your chance of winning. And that's it. So we'll pick a winner in the next couple of weeks. So what we have got, Max, is called the Nespresso Vertuo Plus. We bought it from Nespresso Direct, and it came with 100 different capsules. So we bought the package version.
Yes.
So that way we could try all the different capsules. And I mean, you had an espresso machine before.
Yes, I did. It was the older models. So the one that for which I think the patent has expired, and it's the ones with the, you've probably seen them everywhere, with the conical looking capsules. And nowadays, those capsules are actually being produced by pretty much every single coffee producer. You can find them in stores, so you can find them in Tesco, or for whoever listens from somewhere else. I don't know. I think you can find them in Costco or anywhere, supermarkets.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because the patent for the capsule is expired. Those capsules are they pack quite a bit of coffee, and they work on the same principle. I'm going actually to go over the details on how these new capsules work. But the old ones, you had the capsule, so you basically have the coffee packed inside these aluminum, or can be plastic in some cases. It can be compostable plastic or compostable materials, biodegradable plastics, anything really. It's compressed into a tube, and you have an injector from the back that pushes water into it, and then the water gets compressed. It doesn't get compressed. The water that cannot get compressed. The water is pushed into the capsule, and when it reaches a certain pressure, it will then push onto prickly face, if you want, and that will pierce the other side of the capsule and release all of the coffee extract that you have. And that's how the extraction works, basically. It's a very simple and very elegant and very brilliant solution, if you ask me, and it's extremely reliable and reproducible. So
do you know what this actually is one of the strongest points?
Yes.
If you don't want to fuss, this thing was something that really came across to me when I unpacked it, and obviously didn't read the manual because I'm a man. I immediately threw the manual away with disgust, and then thought, well, okay, I wonder how long this is going to take me to set it up. I mean, the most difficult thing for me to work out with my ape brain was which way around the when I put the little tray at the bottom, the little drip tray. It's got like a little mini drip tray. You can put it at different notches, different levels, depending on what cup you've got, which is also an ingenious little obvious kind of design feature.
I would actually save it for a little later for that, because I want to go over the machine, because the machine I think deserves a very, very
a real good breakdown. Okay, well, all I want to say is I set it up without the manual, and it took me like 5 minutes to work everything out. It is so simple that I really truly believe that anybody can plug this in. So it's a great gift for somebody who's maybe not super technical, doesn't want to fuss around with trying to do a big setup. It is simple, and as you say, it's the build quality is very good, so that you feel it's going to be lasting you for quite some time.
Yes. And the one that I had, actually, I think I bought in 2010 or thereabout. And it's been used nonstop for about 5-6 years, and then it's been 2 years in storage, and then I've used it again. I've started using it again after 2 years. It just needed a little bit of decalcification. That was it, but because I wanted to, I've decommissioned it because first of all, I wasn't using it enough, and it developed a leak on the bottom, which is an engineering problem, which I think is present in quite a few of the machines, but it's not specific of Nespresso machines. I have seen this solution in a lot of different machines, so it's not something that is related to Nespresso. It's just that it's the way that you put the water tank in.
Right. And, there's like a little rubber seal on there. So
yes, the rubber seal.
It has to be said, there's like this tall water tank at the back. And I say at the back, it's kind of to the back at the side. You cannot be more visible. Like the amount of water in there, there's no having to peek under, bend down or anything. You can immediately see how much water is in there, which is quite important, because obviously you don't want to be, wasting a capsule, because these actually aren't that cheap, the capsules.
No, exactly. I'm going to the basement and get the prop out. 1 second.
Okay. All right. Well, I thought you were serious by going to the basement for a second, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to talk about for 5 minutes on my own. But you meant it's there. Okay.
Yeah, I have it here.
Okay, so basically Max is just scrambling around on his hands and knees under the desk like a true engineer, bringing out something that we can't really see. But Nade's going to move the camera in a second.
Give me a second. I'll plug it in as well because it deserves it.
All right.
Right. So.
And there's how many buttons on this thing? There's basically
one button.
There's two buttons. There's the button to open it and the button to turn it on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So this is about as simple as you can kind of get.
Yes. So I apologize to the viewers because I actually had all the best intentions. I have 2 action cameras set up and I was unable to connect them and stream to it. So I will actually do some lifting here for my own punishment and show the camera, show the machine to the camera while Nick will kindly describe what I'm doing.
Okay, do I have to put on like an assistant's voice? Because I'm not sure I do that very well. And if I did do it very well, it might scare people.
No, I think you're all right.
Okay.
So
Max is
I'm just holding up to lift
a lovely shiny black Nespresso machine.
Okay, this is really
Max can't lift up the black. Okay, Max is lifting up a black.
Right. So you have quite a compact machine here. You see. It's something.
It's like a monolith, a tiny little black plastic monolith, but with rounded corners.
Yeah, it fits very well in pretty much any kitchen.
Yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of space. No. I would say that little water silo on the side maybe takes up a little bit more, but it's nothing much.
Actually, funny you should mention that because the water silo on the side, I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah.
Spins around.
I didn't know that.
You can move it. It is brilliant. So
they've really designed that quite well. I didn't know that. Maybe if I'd read the manual.
Put it, it's just, it's, oh my God. Stuff
okay, so you can actually, so what you actually, this silo, this clear plastic silo on the side.
Yes, that comes off with a click.
Comes off because that's how you, I was actually pouring. Another good feature. So basically this clear plastic silo on the side is removable so you can fill it with water and clean it.
Yes.
Which I didn't know initially, but it also sits on a little platform which swivels side to side. So if it's not convenient to have the water tank on the left, you can have it on the right or vice versa.
And you can also adjust the cable on one side or the other. So it's extremely flexible. You can really put it wherever you like, wherever you have space.
It's almost like they thought about how people are going to use it. I mean, it's a criticism that we've had of other kind of coffee companies, and I would say quite a few. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of innovation. And I know some people are going to shoot me down because there are, of course, some coffee companies that are innovating, but there's an awful lot that are not.
Yes, but also they make you pay a lot for the design sometimes, while this is a nice, I mean, it's a piece of plastic at the end of the day. It's nothing special, but it looks nice. It looks neat.
Yeah.
Something you want in on the counter. It looks quite neat.
Yeah, it's quite modern and contemporary looking, and you can get them in different colors as well. I mean, I went for the black because I thought that would be, the least inoffensive color. Most people would be all right with that. But it actually fits in very well, pretty much with most kitchens.
Then you have your little tray, which is, to be honest, is not very big. And one of the gripes I have with it is that you have these hex.
Yeah, it's like a little honeycomb.
Yeah,
honeycomb part of the drip tray. So it's like a little semicircular tray made out of plastic with a honeycomb kind of top on it.
Yes, and I just noticed that there is a way of grabbing it. It took me a while to figure out how the hell to remove it.
I didn't even know that either.
To clean it.
Okay.
Because I like to wash inside because you have coffee sitting in there and then eventually we form a little bit of a biofilm and it's easier to scrub it and clean it. So you can remove it quite easily. The way I like this is that you have several steps here. I'm going to lift it again. Oh, well.
Please don't drop it.
Yeah. So you have several.
little notches that you can put it in,
there,
depending upon what cup size you've got. That's right.
And you can set it at different height.
It looks like you're hugging it.
Yes, I'm struggling. And on the back here, you have your capsules.
Right, where it collects the capsules. The capsule collector snaps really quite satisfactorily.
Yes, it's actually quite nice. There is a magnet in it.
There's a little magnet in there, so it just kind of snaps into place, which...
and there's also a sensor that tells the machine if the catch is there or not.
Yeah. So I think all in what we're trying to say is it's actually a very well-designed machine.
Absolutely. There is a button here. That's the only button you press, literally. You press that and you turn it on. It heats up at the speed of light. And that is because...
it's very quick.
Yes, that is because Nespresso machines, they have actually the boiler. It's not really a boiler, but it's a serpentine.
Yeah.
So you have a block of aluminum that gets heated up, and inside that there is a copper pipe that runs into it and will heat up the water. Basically, it's a heat exchanger.
Yeah. Isn't that the kind of the same way as a lot of the Sage or Breville's work? I believe so.
Don't know.
Save that for later. I believe so. Let's go and check that out later. I believe that's how some of the lower end burst thingamies work. Breville's work.
It's very possible, actually. It's the most efficient way of heating up water while it comes in.
Yeah.
So it will heat up the water very efficiently, a lot, actually. It's going to get very hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the water is just pressed into the capsule that you put in there. So if you want to open it, you have this little thing, which is brilliant, which is motorized.
I kept on making the mistake of trying to lift the lid. You don't. You just push the button.
It's
and
a button.
It comes up.
And it comes up.
Those fancy car boots.
And there is a very, very, very cool, I don't know if you can see it here.
Yeah.
There's a very cool engineer piece that will, when it goes down, it just opens up like that.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah.
And when it comes up, it grabs the capsule and it drops it on the back. So you don't even have to touch the capsule or do it.
That's right. So basically, we've got this like it's like this mouth. You touch the button, the whole top part of the Nespresso machine comes open, and you've got a little gray cup in there where you put the capsule. It can only go one way around, so you can't even screw that up. So you put your capsule in there, you touch the button and it closes. And when it closes, it pierces the capsule, which is an important thing to know, because once you've closed it, you can't change your mind at that point. And because then your capsule's wasted. So once it's closed, it pierces it. And then when you lift it up the next time, it takes the capsule with it and chucks it out the back into the collection bin.
So you would see here, hopefully, you probably don't, you see that. That is the capsule piercer, the system that pierces the capsule.
Some pins at the top.
Yes, so the pins
punch it through the aluminium foil.
Yes, the pins will punch through the aluminium foil on the side, and then you have a bigger one that will punch through it in the center, and that's where the water gets injected.
Got you. So it's a very straightforward little system, but very smart.
It's actually a very clever, very elegant, and this is how the capsule looks like once it's been used. So you have the center hole where the water gets injected, and then it goes in. Water diffuses into the coffee and then gets expelled from the side once. So you have injection and extraction from the same side. It doesn't go through anymore.
So let's talk about the coffee.
Yes.
Okay. Because they've got many different types of coffee that you can get.
Yes.
You are obviously more limited than if you go to a roaster and buy something independently, but they've got a reasonable...
They have quite a reasonable variety of coffee, and they do taste different. One thing that I absolutely love with this machine is that it automatically recognizes the amount of water
necessary. That's correct.
You are stuck to the capsules, and that's one of the things, and that's also what you were saying, I think, offline, that obviously that's how they make money, because the machine is probably, they lose money when they make it or they go on par. And this is something I did say, that if I was a CEO of any coffee machine maker, I would go around and bash people with one of these, because asking how they can cram all of this technology into a coffee machine that costs a tenth of what we make.
So just to be clear, so we bought this in the UK from Nespresso. I think we paid about £79 for it, which is about $80, something like that.
Yeah.
So for the amount of technology that's packed into that machine, the build quality, they're not making any money. I think that included shipping as well, by the way. Yeah. Oh, and that included the 100 capsules. I mean, there's no way they're making money on that.
Absolutely.
So clearly the idea is to get you hooked into the system. Mm-hmm. And once you're on the system, they've got the annuity revenue of you buying
which is, I mean, fair enough, to be honest. It's a fair point. Yeah. The experience of making coffee with these is absolutely fantastic. It's the easiest way that you can make coffee with. And literally, you don't even have to look at the coffee that it comes out. You just need to be sure that you put a cup that is big enough.
You put the right size cup in.
Yes, because as you see here, there's a barcode on the rim of the capsule, mm-hmm. and the machine will recognize automatically what size that is, and it will then deliver the right amount of water. I actually went ahead and weighed out how much liquid was coming out, mm-hmm. and it was within tolerance, plus or minus 1 gram.
Yeah,
which is plus or minus 1 ml. It's really, really good.
I've got a 220 ml cup or glass, mm-hmm. and it would fit it to the top every time precisely. Yes. So you're absolutely right. So different, you'll notice actually on the capsules, some of the capsules are different sizes. Mm-hmm. And so
they pack different coffee sizes.
Have different coffees and different, so if you're going for a cappuccino or a lungo or something along those lines, you have more coffee in there, Americano, then you'll have a bigger capsule that will have more coffee because you're going to have, if you want to maintain the sort of a similar coffee to water mm-hmm. ratio, you're going to need more coffee granules in there. But one of the interesting things, and we'll come on to this in a bit, when we're talking about the environmental impact element of it, but one of the interesting things is that they actually don't use as much coffee in their capsules as say, we do when we're making an espresso.
Mm-hmm. So there's very little coffee. So, for example, I happen to have a prop here. Another one.
I'm back to being your assistant. For the people listening to explain.
So I have performed a bit of surgery here. So I have a capsule.
So Max is holding up a capsule that is autopsied.
So I have a capsule of Stormio, which is, so one of the good things of these capsules in general is that they're sealed. So the coffee will not go stale. It's just going to stay there and be equilibrated in its own atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I assume that they pack them in protected atmosphere. So probably
they usually use nitrogen or something, don't they? Yeah.
They're packed under nitrogen, but anyway, they will produce CO2. Coffee should produce CO2. Then it really depends on what kind of coffee you put in. And that is, I think, it's the only thing I can actually take them down on. Anyway, so you have the sealed capsule. If you open it, you will see that now you probably can't appreciate it from a webcam, but you have a very, very dark roast here.
Yeah, it is
extremely dark roast.
It looks like sort of that kind of dark earth, dark soil.
Yes, and it's quite coarse. I'm gonna try, and I am very well aware that
the Stormio is so they've got fancy names. I have to say, all their names sound like they've been inspired by Harry Potter.
Yes,
right? Am I right?
Yes, they are like enchantments in Harry Potter.
They are. They all sound like spells that you're going to throw out at people. Yeah. But the Stormio one is an Americano, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it's 230 ml, so it's an Americano style. And as you can see, the coarseness is quite significant. I mean, it's quite coarse.
It's quite a coarse grind.
I think I would be probably grinding this size for cupping or thereabout.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little smaller than cupping, but definitely I wouldn't use these for espresso. Obviously, these are all pressurized portafilters. These are all pressurized extractions.
Yeah.
So in a pressurized portafilter, these might actually work. I don't have a pressurized portafilter at home, so that would have been one of the experiments I would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't weigh this particular one, but I think more or less they are between 7 and 9 grams.
That's right. Yeah.
In total. Sorry. Of
coffee.
So you probably have 1 or 2 grams of of the
I believe
capsule.
it's about 7 grams of coffee. I'm sure I read somewhere 7 grams of coffee, which is kind of crazy. I mean, okay,
7 grams is the
7 grams is a single
dose. Yeah, is a single dose of the classic Italian cafe
right
twacky thing.
Yeah. So we've got. Let's just talk about the quality, the taste for a second. So we're very happy because obviously at this stage people are obviously thinking that we're shills for Nespresso, that they've paid us to do this thing, but they haven't. We haven't been paid by anybody. We paid our own money to buy the stuff.
So we can say
that we didn't really like the coffee.
No, it was rubbish. So the coffee is actually really bad.
Coffee's pretty bad. And no, actually, having said that, sorry, let's be fair. The coffee's on a range, right?
Yes.
So the first coffee I had, I absolutely hated it. I thought, how am I going to finish this review listening to all these coffees? It almost made me ill how bad it was. I really didn't like it at all. It was a burned bitter kind of taste. I thought, this is awful. I can't believe I'm gonna have to. Anyway, then I went through and I forced myself to a few more. I actually came across a few that were okay.
Yeah, there are some that are actually okay. For example, the Altisio, the violet one, used to be one of my favorites in the previous style coffee, and they normally tend to do also some limited editions coffees, which are normally quite nice. They're more expensive. They're expensive capsules. I mean, you're probably looking at 50 60 pence per capsule, which is expensive.
I think they're just over 50 pence.
Yes. Those ones, the special edition ones, they tend to be actually significantly more expensive. But anyway, they're worth it. They're actually quite nice. The violet one was one of my favorite. And
when you say violet, what you're talking about is the capsules color. So they color code them so that you know which type of coffee you're drinking. So in case you get them all mixed up in a bowl or something like that.
Yes, they're color coded.
Yeah, they're color coded.
So the Altisio is, I remember it very well because I used to drink it a lot in the previous machine, and it used to be one of my favorite. And as soon as I had a sip of it, I literally went, oh yeah, I remember this. It's good. And it tasted exactly the same. And that is what you can expect from these kind of machines and these kind of capsules. Consistency of flavor. So if you find a capsule type that you like, you can buy a truckload of them and they will be fine for years. Because they will always be the same. Because as long as the roasting is the same, as long as the coffee that goes in is the same, you cannot mess up the extraction.
Yeah, that's right. You can't mess it up, which is another great thing about it.
Exactly.
So they've got these different ranges. And one of the things that interested me, I have to say, was we've done a few stories and bar talks about the Nespresso investing in different origins, like Zimbabwe and places. And
you telling it to your neighbors.
Yeah, that's right. Who still try to walk on the other side of the road when they see me. But so I was interested to test some of the single origins, and I think we've got one or two in that pack. One's from Colombia, pretty sure, right?
Yes.
And actually,
I didn't like it though.
You didn't like it?
No.
I actually did like it. It's the bitterness is not there. It's a lot smoother than
a bit bitter, but it caught me in a moment where I'm actually drinking a lot of pour overs and a lot of light roasts, so it probably was a bit.
Yeah, we can't trust your opinion. You're absolutely right.
Of course, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
So I'm just going to look up. I'm on their website right now. If I look at Buy Vertuo capsules, they've got great names though. I tell you what, kudos to their marketing department for coming up with names like Italia Pecan Biscotti, Sweet and Velvety Limited Edition. Who wouldn't buy that? Who wouldn't buy Italian Pecan Biscotti? Okay,
I wouldn't, because I don't recall Pecan Biscotti. Wait a minute. Is that Cantuccini? God, no, I wouldn't. It's coffee. It's coffee.
It tastes nice. Look, they got me with pecan, and then they got me another time with biscotti. So
they would get me if they said coffee.
Just give me the coffee. Keep your biscotti, mate. Look, they say, look, okay, let's talk more about their marketing department. Ethiopia, cradled in the sun. I love the idea of that. I love the idea that actually someone went around and cradled these beans in the sun until they were ready. That's exactly it. And so they got a number of these different things. So I have to say some of the worst one for me, the worst coffee that they had was the Barista Creation. They got these things called Barista Creations. It was, I've forgotten what it was. I think my mind has.
Yeah, it was a
creme brulee, or I don't know. It was something. It was the perfect worst combination of burnt bitterness with fake sweet flavoring. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, it was pretty.
So I would stay away. Look, these are useful when you have somebody comes around to your house for a dinner party, something you don't like them. That's the coffee you give
slip them one of those.
You slip them one of those. Everybody else, you give them the Elvazio or the Caffeinatio. I still feel like I'm Harry Potter in here.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing sparks and things.
Furtado.
It's those ones, especially the flavored ones, are the ones that you brew.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, this smells good. And then you have a sip of it, and then you realize, oh my God, I have another 230 ml to go.
Yeah, I know. Please,
there's a lot of
maybe I can share this with somebody. So
you try to aggressively share it. You want some? You want to try some?
So I shared some of these around. What was interesting, because we're the wrong people to ask, of course, because we're snobs.
Yes, true. That is true.
And I have to say, when I was not a snob, when I didn't know anything about coffee, like everybody else who's just like a normal person on the street, when I was normal,
when I
was normal and I would go to meetings, in the meeting rooms at the fancy places, they had Nespresso machines there. I always loved the coffee. I loved the Nespresso. So I have to think that because our taste buds, Max, have been elevated to new heights, that possibly we're looking down upon this, the taste of this coffee. Whereas actually for most people, and I gave this to other people to taste, they went, yeah, it's all right. In fact, the answer was, it's nice coffee. For most of the ones, they said it's lacking a little bit of, not flavor, what's the word?
Sentiment.
So there wasn't a lot of complexity in there. There's like, it's just it's coffee, right? But they put it on par with like something like Starbucks or whatever. So if you're used to going to Starbucks,
way better.
Okay.
To be honest, it's to me, it's actually better than most of the coffees that I can find in coffee shops, in
the
franchise coffee shops.
Yeah, if you get a nice one, you can certainly go through a few of them here, and you get a nice one. Then they can be better than a lot of coffees I've had in coffee shops as well. So whilst on the one hand, we can laugh and say, this is way beyond our, below our standards. On the other hand, we have to admit that actually for a lot of people, this would be absolutely fine. It would not even be more than fine. They'd be delighted if you gave them a cup of coffee from this machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that the Furtado was actually quite good.
The Furtado wasn't bad. It was, again, very dark roasts. All of these are very dark roast, and there is a reason why sorry.
The bitterness was the thing I was trying to get rid of. The Bernie bitterness. So some of these had a Bernie bitterness, and some of them did. I think the Melozio was also all right. The Melozio was smoother. It wasn't as bitter.
It was sort of okay, but again, you caught me in a moment where I'm drinking lots of light roasts.
I'm actually a little bit surprised, Max, you're not wearing a paisley shirt. And maybe next time you could have a paisley shirt, like a little silk paisley shirt on.
Because I should be.
Now that you're drinking florally type pour overs.
No. I haven't gone that far.
Okay, well, I'll give it a couple more weeks. So from the coffee side of things, we'd say, depending if you're coming in here from used to drinking specialist coffees, doing your pour overs, perfecting your espressos, you're not going to be happy with this machine.
Yeah, no.
But on the other hand, if you're like my sister, or a lot of other people who just actually want to have a cup of coffee with the least amount of fuss. They don't want any mess. They want to put the thing in, choose a Malozio, choose a Fortado, whatever it is. Feel like I want something stronger, something mellower, put it in, push a button, put the cup in, job done. This is actually I think it's actually a very good solution for that.
Yes. And well, actually, I would even go a step further.
Oh, would you?
Yeah. If you want, of course, always. So if you actually want to do something even a little more advanced, you could go for the older machines. One of the older machines, which
I'm glad you mentioned this. Yeah.
Yes. Or wait for the new ones, because I don't think that anyone in their right mind would want to exploit a patent just yet, unless you can find it from some Chinese store. But I do not take any responsibility for it. I do not know if they exist. I didn't even look. To find capsules that you can fill yourself. Meaning that, for example, with the old ones, you can buy online, I've seen them quite often, metal capsules that you can actually fill with your own coffee.
You can have refillable capsules. Yes. You can do that. I'm not sure how great they are. I actually have somebody, there's a guy who's, I gotta tell you, this guy, funny story. He's based out in Denver, Colorado, he's based out in Denver, Colorado, and he runs a company called SolarBev, and they do capsules, right? So they're into the whole capsule thing. He actually just wrote a story for us because he was in contact with me, I don't know, about a month or so ago, and asked him to write a story for us about capsules. So he actually did. Check it out on our site, because it's quite a good, because it's CBD. Basically what they're doing is they're actually mixing CBD into capsules. So if you've got, so he's a perfect example of, if you want to go like wild and hippie and out there.
CBD field, stands for cannabinoids oil.
It does stand for cannabinoids oil. That, I don't know where the O comes from. Anyway, it's cannabinoids.
No, it's derivatives.
Yeah, it's the non-high element of cannabis.
Yes.
So the TCH, I think it is, or THC. What is it? THC. THC makes you wacky and crazy, and the CBDs actually have proven, in many cases, many cases, to have lots of different benefits depending on the variety and how you grow it and produce it and everything else.
Yeah.
But everything from mental acuity all the way through to helping people with cancer, to helping people who have fits, those sorts of things. Anyway, so there's a lot of, you can actually go out and go to Holland and Barrett, and you can go to the shops.
Yeah. There's a
buy
very
CBD
large
oils. There's nothing, there's nothing. You don't have to worry about the police breaking down your door or something.
No. There's a very large industry, actually. It's
huge industry, huge.
Yeah. Put a lot in hand creams and creams.
Okay, I'm not about the hand creams, but anyway, the caps. He wrote a thing about the capsules and CBD in there, which is very interesting. If you went with the old machine, like you're saying, it's the sort of thing you could go out and although he's based in Denver, Colorado. By the way, when I was training karate out in Denver, Colorado, I was opposite. This is 30 years ago. 30 years ago, right? I was living in Denver, Colorado. I went there to train with a grandmaster called Jokun Namir. And he trained in East Colfax, and Michael's office was literally right opposite me. I used to come out, and I'd be opposite his office. I didn't know it, obviously, at the time. But and now we are 30 years later, and he's writing stories for our website, which is crazy. But I would have to say, if I was buying for me an espresso machine, I would be tempted to go with the old version, the old capsules, because you can get quite a large third-party network of different kinds of different coffees you can put in there.
Yes,
which should make it quite a lot more exciting.
Which is, at the end of the day, which is the winning point of non-Nespresso coffee machines, if you think about it.
Yeah,
because the non-Nespresso coffee machines is you put your own coffee, but you have to grind it, you have to do everything.
Yeah,
those ones you can actually get ready-made.
I've got a problem with this is where I've got a problem with this machine and the way it heats the water.
Yes.
Right.
It's too hot.
It's too hot, right? So no matter what coffee you put in there, it's going to come out scalding. And I can't help but think that's going to that's probably why it tastes burned. And I can't help but thinking that's going to ruin a lot of coffee, no matter how good that coffee is in the capsule. But and I was wondering why. I've got a
very
theory.
Dark roasts, remember?
It's dark roast. Oh, okay. That's also a possibility. I had a slightly less cerebral thought, which was that most people will not be thinking about warming up their cups. There's no cup warmer on the Nespresso machines. You're going to just grab a cup from the cupboard, put it in. That cup's going to be cold.
Yes.
And if you put water in at 93 degrees, I think the chances are it's going to come out. Most people are going to be unsatisfied. They're going to say, my coffee's not hot enough. What do you think?
You have a good point there.
I do.
I don't think physically, I don't think it would be a problem because, I mean, 94 degrees water coming out in a cold cup, it wouldn't go like at 40 degrees or 50 degrees. It's not that you can pour it and drink it right away. There's no chance. It's still going to be like 80, 90 degrees easily. But yeah, people would actually complain that my coffee is not scalding hot. I can drink it right away. This is wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. We had at the cafe, we had a lot of people. We'd make coffees, even though the cups would be warmed and the temperature was the temperature. People would complain. Some people would come in and they would want it really hot. So there's some kind of association.
Get under the machine.
Yeah. So put your face right here. So that was what I'd say. But okay, so let's move on to the final element. Is talking about the environment, because there's a lot of talk about the negative environmental impact of capsules versus grinding your own coffee. And it's very interesting because it's like most things, you look at it, becomes so much more complex than it seems at the outset. What you really want to know is you want to know capsule, what's it made of? Aluminium? Ooh, is that recyclable? Not easy? That's bad then. Yeah, sounds that way. It's not true. It's actually not the case. It's more complex. So first of all, you mentioned it right off the bat. If you want to take a look at the environment, take a look at the whole of the environment. Don't take a look at one part of it. Yes, the packaging materials is one part of it, right? But the heating. So how much money do you spend on electricity every morning to heat your fancy, shiny espresso machine?
Exactly.
This thing, a fraction of the energy. That's number one. Number two, a fraction of the amount of coffee, actually. And coffee itself, growing coffee and wasting coffee is not good for the environment. Exactly. Number three, you will actually waste coffee. So you're going to use more of it. So when you're grinding your own, like I do, I always throw away the first few grams because it's been in my grinder overnight and I'm fussy and, I've got retention and all the rest of it. All of that, plus, of course, the cost of the grinder grinding, the electricity in that. So we've got all these different components. I'm snagged. I'm going down, Matt. I just wheeled over my cable. All right. I was moving my chair and wondering why my head was getting pulled on the side. I'm going, Max. I'm going down. Oh, God. It's over to you. Take over, Max. Make me proud. And so finally though, we've also got to take into account the packaging.
Yes.
Now here's the thing. So a lot of people say, you should use biodegradable, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, if I had a lesson on biodegradable this week. So you may have noticed that eagle-eyed amongst you. Hey, look, check this out. I am holding up some cups from a company that says, it says recycle with paper on it. But actually, let me tell you, they're called butterfly.
That's recyclable, not biodegradable.
No, they're both actually, mate. They're recyclable and biodegradable because they're made by this new Finnish factory. out in actually Finland, where most Finnish factories are.
Yeah. What do you know?
So I had a long conversation. This is an Irish company, and it's a non sequitur, but it is going to be relevant because we wrote a story.
Wow.
Huh?
Non sequitur. So I'm sorry, I'm just overwhelmed.
Am I throwing around too many sesquipedalians?
Wow.
Ooh, go look that one up, pal, whilst I'm talking. So the point is that this has no plastic on the inside. Like, it's a paper coffee cup with no plastic and it doesn't leak. And how do they do that? Well, I actually didn't know. I had to go look it up, and we wrote a story on it. And then we got some elements of the story wrong. I actually ran it by her first. She said, no, you've not understood some of the nuances. So we went backwards and forwards a couple of times until we got it right before we published it. And I learned a lot about recycling. And in there, she's like, well, there's biodegradable, but it depends upon if you want to have something that is actually registered as biodegradable. It's got to be biodegradable in X number of days under X certain conditions.
28 days, 70% mineralization.
Oh my God, it's like this stuff.
I actually work in that stuff.
And that's I didn't know any of this. You didn't tell me any of this before. Where were you when I needed you? So it also depends on, she said, like, it depends upon the weather and the hot temperatures and cold temperatures. And it depends on what's the cup being used for. Is it soaked something up? What can it be used for afterwards? Can it be, recycled into second grade paper, first grade paper? But there's a ton of stuff I learned about it. So it's not just a case like idiot me that thought, is it recyclable? Yes or no. Those are the options. It's actually, is it recyclable? By how widely recyclable? Like, does it have to drive 200 miles to a special recycling center to be recycled? Can it be recycled easily locally? Is it biodegradable? Is it biodegradable? And there's ways that you can compost something with a special machine. And then other things.
Careful, because compostable is actually a different thing.
I know. This is what I learned. So it can be compostable, but that means for a lot of companies, it means that for a lot of compostable items, it means it has to go into a special facility to be composted. Whereas this is compostable. If you throw it into your garden, it will biodegrade in a certain period of time. Anyway, so all of this coming back to the Nespresso capsules. You can't just it's not as simple as saying, is this, recyclable? Is how widely recyclable, how many people actually go through the effort of recycling, how easy is it to get it into the hands of a recycler, and how much energy is used in the recycling. Exactly. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? Where does it all end?
It's a very big concept.
Big concept. But what I would say is this: it's not as bad. It seems to me, on the research I've done so far, that it's not as bad as the naysayers are making out.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Also, you have to consider another thing as well. Consider the scale of things. Now, we like our coffees from small farm holders, roasted in the UK locally by local roasters, which are small roasters. Now, if a small roaster they are artists and we love them and we love what they do. So,
God bless the roasters. Love the roasters.
Don't get me wrong on these. But they have a higher environmental impact than a large roastery, because a large roastery will do everything in large scale. So they will have drums with, hundreds of kilos of coffee roasting instead of doing 20 kilos at most.
Right.
Every time. So the amount of energy that is wasted is less, because they will roast large batches. And that can bring down the costs, improves the efficiency, and it reduces the emissions, reduces the carbon footprint of the whole thing.
Right.
And when people, for example, it's the same difference between the organic farming and large-scale farming is the same thing. Organic farming is not environmentally friendly, because the yield is lower, and in the same way, roasting a large batch of coffee is more environmentally friendly than roasting small batches.
Well, I'm just going to pick up on something there because you say you're talking about yields and things. It's really fascinating. I'm looking into, especially on the cocoa side of our business, the organic farming, how you can increase yield, because it's actually directly tied. Same thing with coffee. It's directly tied to farmers' lives, because if you can improve a yield without massively improving the cost, just through maybe better practices or timing of fertilization, things like that, then it improves the yield. That means the farmer actually gets more without having to, he's not having to have more land. He's getting more from the land and the natural resources that he's got, which means he gets paid more, which means it's obviously much better for the farmer and helps solve that problem.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was quite interested to see in the Nespresso, because this is an Nespresso podcast today.
Yes.
One of the things I was interested to see when they talk about recycling is they don't just recycle the material, the outside material, they recycle the coffee. And coffee is a great
That's why they taste so bad.
So you've had that coffee 3 or 4 times before, my friend. It's the same. No, they recycle it into fertilizer and things like that. So use every part of it. Yeah. Listen, Max, we're running out of time. We're going to run it up. It actually was a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. I don't know how long it was, but
but I think it was packed.
I think this time we really kept it packed. So what we're going to do is, so for everybody who's interested in doing this, there'll be, again, in the show notes,
giveaway
show notes, or on the thingy underneath the YouTube video, there will be a link to a page you can go to and just literally just enter, follow the instructions. Very simple. Put your email in. All you have to do is actually put your email address in and you're entered. If you want to increase your chances of winning it, I think there's a couple of different ways you can do that: by liking us, because we like to be liked, and then stuff like that. And then I think we'll announce, I think it's running for a couple of weeks, and we'll ship it to you for free as well. So there'll be no costs involved. You just get the thing. So happy days.
Nice.
And Max, you can't enter before you ask. So you're banned from entering. And I would also say, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to end this podcast, but we're going to have a little chat afterwards about a couple other things. We're going to talk a little bit about what's actually gone on this last week. And so anybody who wants to stay on, they can stay on for that. But for the rest of it, we'll end the podcast here, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a little bit of a teaser for next week.
I don't even know what it. You bought the present.
My wife
the
listens
Christmas
to
gift.
us, and she's an absolute star.
It's fantastic looking. It looks better in.
It's amazing. It is amazing. By the way, I'm holding a hand grinder.
Yeah, this is the hand grinder. This is actually the one that I would say that I recommended on our Christmas guide.
Yeah,
gift guide. Yeah.
Yes. I am thoroughly impressed. So I will have lots to say.
Wow. When can I borrow it?
My brain actually hurts.
Yeah. Jesus. Imagine if you were me. You're the scientist. You're the smart one.
I don't know.
There's something said to be said actually about not being very smart. I think this is actually the clue to living a happy life, is just not to think about stuff. My cat's not very smart, and it doesn't seem to trouble her at all.
Yeah.
Smart ones always suffer. So what I wanted to actually say was a couple of things. So first of all, I'm going to be reviewing these. First, I'm going to work out how to open them. Then that'll take me a week.
It takes a degree just to.
Then in the next week, I'll work out how to close it, and then we'll take it from there. So and then the second,
what is it? How does it look? I don't quite understand.
There's an interesting design. It's an interesting design. So I'm opening this up, and so the people who are listening, just close your eyes and imagine. Close your eyes and imagine a pot noodle. No, it's not a pot noodle. It's a, what do you want to call it? It's like when you go to the Chinese takeaway.
Okay, yeah.
And you get the rice, and you'll get your fried rice. I can't do the Chinese accent. Nope. I can actually do the Chinese accent. My wife's Chinese, but I'm frightened of doing it in case she hears me. But it's inside. There's like these layers upon layers.
So it's not. It looks like you have one inside another still, but it's not.
I don't know. I don't know if I should. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that is one inside another. And it's got close one, press here, press here, press here, close
That's a self-destruct.
Anyway, it closes into kind of a lid, whereby the idea is that it doesn't just hold your coffee in a way that doesn't leak after an hour or so, and uses no plastic. And again, just to pimp out our website, we did an article. There was studies done in India which showed that if you're drinking coffee or whatever it is from a cup that's got a slight plastic coating on it, that the microparticles of the plastic, some of them come off in the coffee and you ingest them and they can be carcinogenic, i.e. gives you cancer. Well, I mean, what doesn't give you cancer? Having fun gives you cancer. But anyway, it's not good for you. Who wants to be drinking bits of plastic, right? And who wants to have plastic in their cups? So this is the idea behind this, is that there's no plastic on the inside and it doesn't leak. However, the next part of the problem is, but you still got a lid. The lid's made of plastic. And then the problem on top of that is you still got a straw, depending upon what you're drinking. And the straw is made of plastic unless it's a paper straw. And I've used paper straws, and the problem with them is they're terrible and they go soggy, and then you literally just end up, what happens, they collapse upon themselves and they don't last very long.
And they taste
taste papery. I mean, they were all right.
One test that I would like you to do is if you could try one with just hot water and see if it tastes of anything. If you get flavor out of it.
Oh, that's
because coffee snobs would say, well, I don't want to use that as a cup to go because, well, first of all, it wouldn't hold the temperature very well. I can agree with that, but still, you have a window to drink your coffee anyway.
Yeah.
And what the paper tastes like. Because the paper might give off.
That's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. It's such a good idea. I'm going to pretend I had it. And
that's okay.
So the other I had lots of problems with straws when I'd had my cafe, because if I had plastic straws, people would come in and they would slate me on social media saying, you're killing the environment. You obviously don't care about the world. Why don't you just go out and kill babies? Stuff like that. But if you had paper straws, other people would complain and just go, I took my drink, I walked 20 meters, I took a sip, and I couldn't get anything through. It's usually with juices with the problems more than coffees, obviously. But
who drinks coffee through a straw?
I bet you there's somebody.
Yes,
but no one. I don't know any. But no, but
I heard it as it was coming out.
You'd get like iced coffee. They drink through a straw. So you get people complaining either way. You just literally couldn't win. So this has a lid that turns into a spout.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's actually really is not a bad idea. So basically, you in one item, you get rid of the lid, you get rid of the straw, you get rid of the plastic, and if it works, you basically got a stackable, we call them cups. Now, what was the word I'm looking for? The different kind of codes. You got one item. It's one of the key things when you're running a cafe is you don't want like lots and lots of different items. You want to say, okay, I've got my cups here, I've got my lids over here, I've got my straws over here. And you've got to imagine, have I got enough lids for the cups? Have I got enough straws for the things? Just this pain in the ass. Whereas this way, you just have one SKU. The SKU. You got one product code, one product. Do I have enough of them? Yes or no. How many have I got? I've got 500. That's all right. Whatever. Job done.
I see. Yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. By the way.
Yes, sir.
A little bit of nerdiness.
Nerdiness. Okay.
A little bit of nerdiness. One of the main issues with people wanting a straw is that otherwise the ice hits their mouth and they can't drink through the thing. There are two ways of doing it, of getting around it. First of all, no ice, or use deuterated water, heavy water, and the ice will sink.
That is pretty nerdy.
Yes, it will also be a lot per any ice cube, really, like probably more than a coffee, more than an iced coffee. But hey, it will sink.
Yeah. Yeah. I was all looking I got into ice technology when I was running the cafe because I wanted clear ice cubes. There's loads of ways of trying to make clear ice cubes to suck the oxygen out. That's the key thing. But anyway, so we're moving on. We're digressing a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about this giveaway thing. I've got this new technology to do it. And
interesting.
Yeah, I fear it's going to break. But fortunately,
they need to share us on social media. We're
going to share it on social media. We're going to make, look, I feel if we're going to make if this thing's going to break and make a fool of myself, first of all, I'm going to take you with me. And secondly, secondly, I'm going to make the biggest fool of myself. A bit like when I rode that motorbike last week. Did I tell you about my motorbike accident? No. Almost.
No.
Yeah. I took my motorbike for the MOT. I got a big, it's a heavy 1000cc Triumph Tiger. Mm-hmm. And I took it for its MOT and I came out from the MOT. And the guy said, Phil said to me, drive safely because it's raining. It was heavy rain. Like there was pretty much the one day this week that it really, really heavily rained was the day I had to take my bike for the MOT. Every other day's been all right. So I'm going around the corner. So literally I'm 50 yards down the road. And because he's in this workshop behind a coach station. So you kind of have to go around through a parking lot with all the coaches and the coach drivers sitting there. And as I came around the parking lot and I'm up there, there's the center line, which I have to cross the center line of the parking lot. And it dips in and there's puddles everywhere. And I thought to myself, better look for a dry spot. And then I thought, Nick, you wimp. You're riding an adventure motorbike.
Yeah. Go
through the puddle. Damn it. It's you're not going around the world. You're not going across mountains in Peru. You're just going to go through a puddle.
You can manage. Yeah.
You can manage a puddle.
One would think.
So you would have thought. So I went through the puddle. My front wheel just went out from me, right? Because whilst I was riding an adventure motorcycle, I did not have adventure tires on my
oops.
And so my front tire just slid along. So the bike goes over on about 45 degrees. I put my foot down. I'm ready to come off. I've come off enough motorbikes to not get worried about coming off unless I'm doing, 3-digit numbers or something. So I'm ready to come off. But I don't come off because the front wheel suddenly, unexpectedly bites, hits a bit of dry something, bites. But now
that's when your testicles got... That's when the testicles get here.
That's when you're clenching up and the rear wheel starts spinning around. So I'm doing donuts, 360-degree donuts. And I think, as everyone's watching me, all the coach drivers are eating their sandwiches and they're watching me with some, like placid amusement. Obviously nothing stirs these people. They didn't look, like that, they were, anxious in any way for me. And I'm doing 360s like this on with my rear wheel, trying to get my bike up. And I'm thinking, I could play this and look cool, right? I could play this. I can turn this, and I could, I could actually not look like the idiot that I am. I could come out of this looking good.
Yeah.
And so I spun it around one more time to the point where I was facing the gates, and then put on the brakes so that I was, facing forward. And then I realized the problem was the bike was still at 45 degrees and weighs about 250 kilos. And I had one foot on the ground, one foot on the saddle. And I was holding the bike, these 250 kilos, with my one leg on the ground. And it was that point of balance where you're strong enough that you can hold it, but not so strong that you can push it back up. So I just stayed there. and inside all my gear, you couldn't see the quantity of trembling that was going on as my mind fought for, you cannot drop this bike. They're all watching you. Don't look like a complete idiot, right? Whereas my body just said, Nick, you've done this before, because I actually did do something like this before, and tried to pick up the bike when I was trying to impress a girl, jumped off too quickly, and the bike fell over, and I grabbed it and I tore a calf muscle and had to go to hospital. It was really not the best way to impress this girl. And so I thought, Nick, you've been here before. The smart thing to do is just let the bike down. But my brain said, my ego said, don't let that bike go down, Nick. You were looking cool. Don't ruin it now. Don't blow it. So I struggled there at this equilibrium point. It could have gone either way. At that point, a couple of guys started running over to come and help me. And I realized the game was lost. I was no longer cool. But I did manage to get it back up on my own. I gave them the thumbs up and then kind of limped away.
And inside your helmet, you went like,
yeah, no, I was actually just very pleased that I hadn't ripped anything once again. So, hey, listen, we're going to do the Nespresso giveaway. That's really great. Next week, we're going to talk about your grinder. But also, I wanted to tell you that I've signed up to the Carvetti thing. I'm going to get you signed up to it as well. So this is a Carvetti. I think once or twice a month they do these. They send out the coffee, and we do cupping sessions, tasting sessions. But they do it they pre-grind it, and there's like a Discord. Do you know what Discord is?
Yes,
there's Discord. There's a Discord server somewhere where they've got.
I used to have it at least.
It doesn't really matter. You can get back on there again. So we'll maybe talk a little bit about that if that comes up. Get that through in time. That's it, really. And then Christmas is coming in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
10 days.
Awesome.
13 days, 2 weeks. Wow.
I have no idea.
Have you done your shopping? Yeah. Well, I know your wife's got you. That's not the same. Have you got anything for her? Have you done your shopping?
Yes, I have.
Okay, awesome. All right, my buddy. Let's finish it there.
All right.
Thanks, Max. I'll see you next week.
No worries. Thank you.